Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov. I love discovering new musicals and then introducing them to you, the listener. And today, that is exactly what we are doing. Today, we're going to be speaking with the creator of Fixer, a new musical, which will be going on very soon. So let's find out more about this musical by welcoming Jordan May to the show. Hello, Jordan.
Hi, Jean Paul. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. First, congratulations on the show. That's awesome that you've got it
Thank
on
you.
its
Thank
feet.
you.
Now, before we get into the show and talking about how people can see it and all about it, I want to get to know you a little bit better. So we want to know who Jordan is in 30 seconds. So the 30-second bio of Jordan.
Oh, geez. So I wasn't actually always planning to go for the theater thing in life. I didn't actually discover theater until maybe middle school.
Hmm.
I got into a school production or something like that. It's later than I guess a lot of people in my demographic who wound up being theater kids. For a lot of my life, I thought I wanted to go into the theme park industry,
Hmm.
and I worked toward that for a long time. Did a lot of networking, and ultimately, I just kind of decided that the crowds and the amount of people would just be a little too much for me. And I had this love of theater and of music and composing that had been fostered throughout my school experience. And I thought about going into trying to go into performance. And I auditioned for the Sheridan Musical Theater performance program and literally fell on my face in the dance audition. And I mean that literally. And then I hit upon this idea of, well, what if I wrote a musical? And I didn't know how to do that.
Mhm.
So I literally Googled how to write a musical. And there was this article that said, look, if you want to write musicals, then you should go write some musicals. And I was like, yeah, fair enough. So I went and wrote some musicals. And somehow I have ended up here. It's been a wild ride over the last few years, but
And that is who you are. And we got some parallels because I worked at Wonderland, Canada's Wonderland, for 8 years. So I know all about theme parks.
oh,
So,
no way.
yep.
When was that?
Oh, a long time ago, like
Was it the
90.
Paramount days?
Oh, yeah. It was pre Paramount days and Paramount days. I was
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah, I was there from 90. Oh, shoot. I don't even know, 92 to 90 or 2000 or something like that. I was there for 8 years. And
Nice.
I went to Sheridan and I did fall on my face. I did get in, but I fell on my face during the dancing too. So no worries about that. So there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, that's awesome that you went into all that stuff and having an outlet for something else is always, I think, a benefit for when you're writing because you can draw upon everything else when you're writing. So that's great.
Yeah, it's definitely been strange for me to get back into it from this side of things. My background musically and composition was in like wind orchestra and stuff. I started
Hmm.
I started writing at first for my school band. And my music teacher at the time encouraged me to do that, and I kind of worked backwards from that into the smaller musical theater paradigm of things, and found my sound over lots of trial and error and failure, and here we are with Fixer.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You that's the great thing about when you're starting out. You don't know what you don't know, and you just do it, and and then you figure it out
Yeah.
along the way. So that it's fantastic that you jumped in feet first, and you did it. So let's talk about Fixer. Tell us a little bit about the musical and the synopsis of it.
So Fixer is my fifth show, and my third full length two act musical. Yeah, I think I should know that, but yeah, I think that's right. It's a dark comedy set in a high school, and it's something of a coming of age story but also just, my feelings on the education system and things like that. So our plot synopsis that we love to give is Lila, a high school problem solver, rules over an empire of favors as the mysterious fixer, granting things to her classmates for a price. But when a student's murder draws her into a deadly game of deception, she may finally meet her match. Dot. So I we have a couple different things we like to tell people, but that one I think is the most spoiler free. So I'll go with that for now.
Nice. Is this based on a lot of people write what they know? Do you know about murder in high school? That's my question.
No, not so much that
It
part, but
could.
there is a lot of stuff in this show that's deeply personal for me. Perhaps not my devious main character and her exploits, but like a lot of the peripheral stuff and the things her friends go through as part of their high school experience was definitely very personal to me. There's a lot of this show that is written really from the heart, and I've never really had one of my shows get to a place where it was actually being presented to people with this much of me in it.
Mhm.
So that's a little scary on some level.
So, what was that moment when you decided to write this? Was there, like I said, a moment? Was there something that sparked your imagination to write this show?
Yeah, so Fixer is pretty different than a lot of the stuff I've written. I enjoy supernatural things and horror and and Fixer is nothing like that. This show was my attempt to write something a little more accessible. Stylistically, musically, it's a little more pop rock than what I usually do, but that was a fun thing, and I knew kind of in the back of my head that at some point I wanted to write something a little more in that vein, but I hadn't really found what it was going to be.
Okay.
And then a few years ago, I was working on another show, and I had this moment kind of. We were assigning these different villain songs um, to a bunch of young women in the cast of a show I was in, and I mean, it wasn't weird or anything. I was the same age as them at the time, like I was maybe 19. But I noticed that a lot of the villain songs for girls, and you know what, even guys of our age bracket at the time, kind of maybe leaned a little bit into the like evil is hot kind of trope.
Mhm.
And there's that can work. There's nothing wrong the ideal like villain song for some um and that song was Hero, which is the big number for my main character near the
Mhm.
end of Fixer. And obviously it went through many versions and many revisions since then, and the story grew and it became its own thing. But that's kind of, I think, where the seed was planted for me.
And you said you worked on it over the pandemic. How was that
Yeah.
different than writing before?
Well, before the pandemic, I had another one of my musicals called Victor Verity is Dead that I thought I wanted to bring to the stage. When that wasn't going to happen, because obviously, the world came crashing down.
Yeah.
Um, it, I had a pretty hard landing, I would say, and there were a few months where I just didn't feel motivated to do anything, and I think that's why Fixer ended up being so different, like so unique compared to a lot of the other stuff I've written, is that I needed something that was gonna change things for me, that was gonna take me to a different headspace. And I think that is really reflected in the kind of show this ended up being.
Tell us a little bit more about the show itself, about the director and the cast.
So, Fixer is directed by my buddy Bill Reel, who is he has been around the theater circuit a long time, and he's really experienced, which I think is great for someone like me to, because I am obviously, I'm not a director. My background is entirely in music.
Yeah.
So it, I think his experience has been really helpful to me. And then our cast that we found, I cannot say enough good things about these guys. They have worked so hard and they are so talented. So it's a cast of 10. Seven of them, seven of the young actors play the students at the high school where this takes place, and then there are three cast members who play the teachers.
Mhm.
But the teachers in this production are actually double cast as the band because they don't show up in many scenes. So I figured it would make sense to have them also play instruments, and COVID still being what it is, keep the amount of people down. So one of them is actually me. I am playing piano in the show, which is an interesting story of how that came about because I wrote this show to be performed with my friend who has a degree in piano performance, and scheduling wise, we couldn't make it work. But here I was composing this show and writing these complicated piano parts and playing them myself at half speed because I was like, oh, he'll be able to play this. It'll be fine. And now here I am trying to learn this music myself and just why did I do this? So yeah, I am playing one of the teachers and playing piano, and then Jesse on bass and Drew on drums are the other musicians like that. Not only with their instrument, we've also worked together so many times that they almost know what I want. Like they know my music and my writing style well enough that I can give a few quick directions based on some chords and they play exactly what I had in my head, which is wonderful. And our cast, this is a demanding show on several of them. Mari, who plays Lila the fixer, our lead, has three solos and is in almost every scene, and she is crushing it. Yeah, can't say enough good things.
So now that you've made the teachers and the band the same, is that something that you might think about going forward with it, or do you think was it originally separate?
No, there was never a point during the development of this show where they weren't going to be um, double cast in that way. Just because I also think even if we weren't trying to keep the amount of people in the cast down,
Mhm.
it makes sense for just utilizing people efficiently because the teachers only appear like in two scenes each.
Okay.
So having them also play an instrument means that we're using their time a lot more effectively, utilizing them throughout the show. And it does to me just kind of feel like kind of fun to have them have that have that have that switch. And yeah, I love cast doubling as band.
Yeah.
It is something I've actually done before in my friend's show, and there's something about it that I just think is really fun. I wouldn't do it in all my shows or any show that has like a larger orchestration than just rhythm section, but it is definitely something I enjoy.
Now, during rehearsals, were there moments that surprised you, like that the cast came up with something that they discovered, and then you just went, "Wow, they get it," or they brought something that you didn't even think about, and went, "Okay, that's incredible that they brought that."
Yes, almost every day. Um, not just from an acting standpoint, but I gave some specific moments where they could riff on the music a little bit, and just sometimes it is a dark comedy, and sometimes something absolutely hilarious would just happen in rehearsal that was so good that it basically got put into the show. um Even in some cases a mistake happened in rehearsal that was so funny that it became a not mistake. So yeah, I mean, and I think that's the nature of working on something new like this. Like Fixer has changed so much since I first wrote it.
Mhm.
We've been through 8 major revisions of the script, and there are songs that are gone that used to exist in this show, and there are songs now that were not even an idea when I first put the show together. There are major plot points that have been changed. There's a character who originally died who now doesn't, and which is clearly the right choice. And I will say, like, when I first wrote this, COVID had just brought the world down. I was in a bit of a not so great place. So I think when I first wrote Fixer, I maybe leaned a little much into the dark of the dark comedy, and slowly it's been shifting the other way. And I think it's a lot more fun now.
Musicals are like living beings. They change and grow and adapt, and
Sure.
it's exciting to see that happen.
And that's the process. And that's definitely the process.
So, where can people find this show? When can they see it? How can they see it? Let's give all the information that if you're in Toronto and they want to see it, let them know how.
So Fixer is presented by Bill's company Imagination Works, and the venue we have a rental agreement with is a wonderful, wonderful space, Native Earth's Ake Studio, which is owned and managed by Native Earth Performing Arts, and it's at the Daniels Spectrum Building on Dundas Street East. I'm not sure I know the exact number off the top of my head. 585, maybe. That sounds right.
I think that sounds right. I'm going to be heading down to it, so I better know where it is. So.
It's a lovely space, especially for a show like this. One of the core concepts of Fixer is that Lila can speak to the audience and regularly does. And this is not an elevated stage. There's no real proscenium. So for me, it really works with the relationship between her and the audience. That's, I think, when we were doing our venue tours back in March. I think that's what really hit me about this place. It just seemed like the right space for this show, where something clicked. And I think right after the tour, we called them and said, yeah, we want to go forward with the rental contract here. We knew. So we are running later this month from July 20th to 24th. We have evening shows on the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and matinees on the Saturday and Sunday.
And do you have a website if people wanted to check it out?
Yes. More information about the show can be found at imaginationworks.ca. Okay. We have dates, information, rehearsal photos, rehearsal videos, content warning, all the fun stuff like that.
And any social media links. So if they want to keep track of it, now, before, and after the show.
Yes. So you can follow us on Instagram at Fixer Musical. And I believe our Facebook is the same.
Cool.
I think it is also Fixer Musical. We post a lot of updates to Instagram and cast introductions, those sorts of things. You can check out all of our amazing art, which is not done by me. I am no visual artist. Emily, who is playing Adelaide in the show, is a remarkably talented graphic designer. She does that professionally. So nice. Does all of our artwork and our posters and stuff.
Well, like I said, congratulations on the show. I look forward to going to see it I think it's the 21st I'm coming, but yeah, I look forward to, I've never been to that venue, and I love discovering new shows and seeing them on stage and watching them grow from today moving forward. So again, congratulations, Jordan, on the show.
Thank you.
No problem. Well, one question before we go, not having to do with the musical, more of the amusement parks. What's your favorite amusement park you've ever been to, and why?
Oh, geez. That is a very hard question.
I know.
Part of me wants to give a really obvious answer, which would be Universal Orlando. No matter how many places I go, I am always so impressed whenever I go there. If I was to pick a shall we say, massive Orlando
gem.
park, hidden gem, Maurice Pierce, Wildwood, New Jersey. I'm not sure that's particularly hidden, but there's something about the magic of a seaside amusement park on a boardwalk and a pier, and Maurice delivers that while also having a degree of professionalism and cleanliness and efficiency. I think they do all those things so well and run such a tight ship without you losing that magic of a seaside amusement park. So I'm gonna say Maurice.
Very cool. Now everybody has to head down there. So after the show, after Fixer, head down to the amusement park and enjoy that as well. So Jordan, again, thank you so much for coming on today and talking to us and giving us a little hidden gem in the amusement park world.
Thank you.
No problem.
I really appreciate it.
We were just speaking with Jordan May, the creator of Fixer, a new musical, which is going on later this month in July 2022. In case you're listening to this, after you've missed it, unfortunately, but maybe to be around and check it out. Check out all their social media links and their website. Tune in next week as we'll be speaking with another guest or guests about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.